Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we're playing Blue-Black Tempo. We're going to hopefully be beating face with Nethergoyf, with Psychic Frog, with Murktide, and maybe some Brazen Borrower. I've also, of course, got the full 4 Tamiyo, so that if we need to, we can kind of turtle up and try to ultimate her, which usually ends the game as well. We're packing a lot of interaction here. So we've got these, of course, these counter spells. We've got 8 of them, but we've also got 3 Nile Spell Bombs to fight the graveyard. This also is an artifact for Nethergoyf. We've got a Thoughtseize, and we've got 4 Fatal Push and a Go for the Throat, which is just a good, like, I guess as good as removal gets with black in terms of being able to remove something larger. And then in the sideboard, we have a Long Goodbye, which is great against Tamiyo and great against Frog. So these are like for the more fair matchups. We've got Toxic Deluge, we've got a couple Barrow Goyfs, and then we've got our Orcish Bowmasters, which I do think are good right now, but they're still a sideboard card. Now, we've also got a Force of Negation and a second Thoughtseize as interaction in case we go up against a combo matchup, and in case we go up against Painter. We've got these 2 Hydroblasts, and we're almost certainly going to go up against Eldrazi at some point. We've got 5 strong anti-Eldrazi cards that we can bring in. So that's the deck. It's got stable mana. It's got lots of cantrips, lots of interaction, and 16 creatures to beat face. Let's do it. Round 1, we're up against Cyrus Bales, who is a creator, Crucible of Words. So they're on different things every single time, but we've got a pretty aggressive hand, and I think we just open probably under... There is a risk, certainly, to them killing on another Goyf. I'm not sure how they would kill it if it's an 0-1, but I think I'm going to park it out there as an 0-1, and the next turn I'll have the option of cracking the fetch to make it bigger. We're definitely keeping this hand, though. This is a very keepable hand, assuming they're not on some crazy combo deck. All right, Island Ponder, I like it. This is kind of what we're here for, is doing damage to fair decks. I guess technically Blue-Black Tempo is more of an anti-combo deck than it is an anti-control deck, but we can potentially get under control. Not necessarily on the draw. Yeah, I think with all these deltas, I'm just trying to think what are the odds that they have both Bowmasters and Daze, which I guess it wouldn't matter, because if we Daze, then our Nethergoyf will survive. So I'll just do this. But I think it's unlikely with just an island start that they're going to be able to... the art's not loading for some reason, but I think it's unlikely that they're going to be able to both resolve a Bowmasters or resolve Entomb and a Reanimate effect from this board state. We'll learn a lot more about what they're on in a moment. Okay, here's a Brainstorm into Delta, which is a perfect Brainstorm. We just let these go. Days will be good later. If they go fetch a Swamp, though, we'll be pretty worried. And they have pretty much perfect information about what we're playing, because I think the only deck that plays Nethergoyf and Underground Sea is Blue-Black Tempo. Nethergoyf may be played in some mono-black aggro decks, but I think those are the only 2 decks that play it. And Cyrus may be recording as well, so when you're recording, you play a lot slower because you have to kind of deliberate your different lines that you're taking. Okay, Lotus Petal. This tells me that they're likely on Doomsday, because these are Doomsday cards here, which tells me that this Daze is going to be pretty powerful if we can get it off. Oh, second Daze is great. So the high value thing to do is to just go ahead and jam Frog. We don't really care about this Nile Spellbomb. We could crack the Spellbomb just to get some more damage off Nethergoyf. But I think we just go for the high value play. And I'm not going to worry about fetching basics here, because they showed me that Lotus Petal, which says there isn't something unfair. Unfair decks usually do not have time to slow down. So if they force, we can't really do anything, but we can interact. I'm thinking about pitching this Spellbomb just to get some extra damage here. It does represent a draw, but this also represents a little extra damage that we can do here for both of them. So, yeah. I think it's unlikely that... there is a kind of like Reanimator / Doomsday deck going around, and maybe we just threw away the most powerful card we have. But I think it's unlikely that that's the case. One troubling thing, though, with tapping out for Psychic Frog is if they daze, we are not going to be able to pay for their dazes. So they may be able to overpower our dazes. Okay, brainstorming again. This is good. We want to see them doing lots of cantripy stuff early on while we have pressure on the table. Dark Ritual. Okay. If they Doomsday, we let them. Because we do not want to have to deal with... there's the Doomsday. They're going to lose half their life, and they're practically dead on board. I like having these double dazes up. This is risky, but there's no way we're going to stop the Doomsday. All we can do is tap out their mana, and I think the dazes will be much more powerful if they do a pass the turn line. I do think we're unfavored, though. I don't think it's likely we're winning. But let's think about this. So Daze goes in the graveyard. This becomes a 3/4. Then Frog itself can deal up to 6 damage. So they're effectively dead on board if they pass. So they are going to have to do something here. We can take a look at their pile. So it's unfortunate that it's not listed out here, even though you can't copy out of this. It's a lot easier to use OCR software. Okay, so they are fatal pushing here. I think we daze here and then we daze again. Let's take a look at their pile though. They may have done a pass the turn pile here. Let's see if we can find any cyclers in here. No. Even if we daze, we still have the same number of cards we can pitch. So I am going to pitch, or I'm going to daze here. This will force them to use the pedal. Okay, they pay, and now I'm just going to daze again. And if they daze back, they probably would have dazed right there instead of paid. Or maybe not. I don't know if they're... Oh, there they go. There's the daze. Okay, so I think we just lost. They did give up a pedal. They give up a land drop. Maybe that disrupts them enough for us to hit twice. Let's see what we draw. Thoughtseize would be insane. This doesn't do anything. There's no way we can discard it, unfortunately. I guess we already have a creature in the graveyard. I'll play this out just because I can surveil. I mean, it's not going to matter. We're not going to be able to get any brainstorm equity at this point. We just have to see if we're dead. This is a very hard deck to play, so we might just get like a win due to pilot error. All right, we did. That's good. I don't think that they expected double daze. They probably expected some interaction, and they would have been able to just daze a force. Had we just had like a force pitch something and no other interaction. Okay, so let's talk about what we bring in this matchup. I think Bowmasters is really awesome here. I think Thoughtseize is really good. Goyf is what they're going to be bringing in, but Long Goodbye can get hit by... so here's what I think we take out. I think we take out... I want to take out Go for the Throat just because the only things that they're likely to bring in that Go for the Throat hits that these other cards don't hit are Murktides. And, well, let's take a look at what we can take out. I think we definitely take out the graveyard stuff. We've got 3 slots just for that. I think we can also potentially take out a land because they're not going to be going after our lands. We can take out the swamp. And that's 60 cards, and we don't even need to take out the Go for the Throat. There's an argument for bringing in Consigned Memory, but really it just hits the actual Thassa's Oracle. I don't like it. I don't think it's that strong in the matchup. I think on the draw, maybe we bring it in, but on the play, I'm not going to bring it in. Our goal is just to reduce their life total as quickly as possible so they cannot assemble Doomsday, Dark Ritual. And at the same time, we don't want to die to Frogs or Goyf. But a lot of people have been asking, is Nethergoyf still a playable legacy card? Is it still good enough to go into the blue-black tempo decks? And a lot of people are experimenting with taking it out. We saw that it was very powerful. I mean, that single Nethergoyf, 1 black mana, I think probably did at least like 8 damage. And then they cut their life in half and put them dead on board too. So yeah, really good. So this is not going to be a keep, even though it would be insane if this were like any other land. Because again, like we don't have to worry about getting wasted. So we can keep 1-landers. I think this is fine. I'm just going to put back the redundant Tamiyo. And we're going to hope that they don't have a fast hand. And earlier I said that I would consider bringing in Consign on the draw. Well, I forgot that we're actually on the draw this game because we won. Yeah, so they're going to almost certainly take Frog. They might take Tamiyo. If they take Tamiyo, that's going to signal to me they probably have a Daze. Either way, I'm almost certain that I'm just going to Wasteland to kick things off. They just did damage to themselves. What I'll probably do is I'll waste, and then I will Delta, and I'll go get the Surveil Land, and I'll try to build up enough mana that we can... Oh, wow, they took the Fatal Push. Okay, so they most likely have a Frog in hand. Or they may have a Tamiyo, and they just didn't want to expose her. But I'm going to go ahead and hit this. I think it's a mistake to get on board against Doomsday when you can just instead... They may have their cycling thing, which is fine. All that does is like let them cycle the card. It's not like they get card advantage. It just turns their terrible cycler into a not so terrible cycler card. And when I say cycler card, I'm talking about Edge of Autumn? Okay, so here's their Tamiyo, and that explains why they took our Fatal Push. So I'm going to attempt to put my Tamiyo down, even though it is certainly possible they could Daze here. Alternatively, I could just go ahead and Thoughtseize them. I think that's better because if they do have like a Doomsday in hand, we definitely want to get that. Like Tamiyo running amok for a turn is not that big of a deal. But them Doomsdaying and killing us while we're struggling to find our second and third land. Also, this does get us closer. Okay, so they have the Oracle in hand. I think if we just take the Oracle... No, it accomplishes nothing to take the Oracle. We actively want them to have to pitch that to a Force. So I think I take the Force, and that pushes them to pitch Oracle, which, I mean, then they can't at least build like a 2 Oracle pile. It does mean they could build a pile without an Oracle. But, I mean, they'd have to fill it with like fetch lands or probably dual lands and fetch lands and stuff like that. I'm not sure. All right, Tamiyo's coming across. All right, if I don't find a land, well, I'm going to definitely ponder here. I need to find a land. All right, this is a keep. We've got a Fatal Push. They don't currently have a Brainstorm in hand or that we know of. We'll see what happens next turn. But I think this turn we do want to go ahead and play. So I do want all of these cards. So I'm going to put the Strain on the bottom, the Push second from the bottom, and the Underground Sea. And I'm not going to attempt to push into a potential Brainstorm. I'm just going to try to Tamiyo here. And then next turn, we could drop a Murktide. I kind of hope they force this because Murktide will be the real card that we want to resolve. Murktide is really dangerous for them because it basically a single connection with a Murktide, even like a 6/6 Murktide, and they're no longer really able to safely Doomsday with a pass to the turn pile. They'll have to win the same turn that they Doomsday. All right. So they are creating yet another clue, but they don't have a lot of mana, so these clues don't really matter. I'm going to start by attacking. All right, so options. 1, I kind of like just holding up the Brainstorm and the Fatal Push, and that way if they try to flip Tamiyo, we can push. And if they try to push our Tamiyo, we can Brainstorm. And if they don't do either, we can just crack the clue. Draw the fetch, and then we'll have land, and we can go into Murktide with Daze Protection. Okay, there's their second land. So their hand currently is Force, Thassa, 2 unknowns. That's fine. And we could have definitely pushed there. If I thought this game was going to go long, I would be incentivized to push there, but there is a risk that they have like a Brainstorm. And a lot of times people will just Brainstorm afterward because they want to be able to get the main phase effect. So they can uptick their Tamiyo before they pass. Okay, and here they come, cracking their own clue, which I don't believe flips their Tamiyo, does it? Yeah. Okay, that's fine. They might be worried about Bowmaster, which is in my deck. Okay, but now that they're basically tapped out, I think I am going to start by pushing here. And hopefully this gets the Force. I don't think it will. I should have attacked first so I could be sure to get the clue in case they do fight over this and I have to Brainstorm. I'm happy if they burn a force here, though. Well, I didn't expect them to do that. I think it's fine. It's going to start at 2, and we've got several turns to do damage to it. Yeah, but we did just go down a card there. So we'll technically be ahead because our Tamiyo is going to be at 4, and we're going to get to go off first. Unless, of course, they attempt to force our Brainstorm, which, they may. All right. So the unfortunate thing is if they do force our Brainstorm, which I don't think they'll try to do because we have the potential for Daze, and Daze would be a big blowout if they do that. I can't imagine them forcing here. Okay, and it worked. And now we're going to put back these bad lands. We're going to just uptick her, and we're going to pass. And we're going to hope that they don't have something that can exile her. And then we're going to in-step Surveil, and we'll clear the top of our Brainstorm. Okay, there's their Murktide. That's fine. It's a 6/6. Our Murktide will not be a 6/6. It will be smaller. But we will have a follow-up Murktide. So they may not expect a second Murktide, so they may not force the first one. In which case we can have a really big Murktide. It's worth noting that they can start Tamiyoing to make Murktide larger if they get some sort of spell in their graveyard. Okay, here's the Dark Writ. So this is going to buff the Murktide, by the way. Wow, they Dark Writted just to crack a clue? Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's something you can do. I'm not going to question Cyrus's judgment. He's an excellent player, but I am a bit surprised. Like, I wonder what's in their hand that incentivized them to do that. They are getting pretty close to having 3 black mana. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and Surveil. Where the heck is our Surveil land? Did I not put one in our deck? Holy cow. That was a really huge omission. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, that's embarrassing. I thought my file that I was working with, my template had the Surveil land, but I guess I left it out. Sorry. So that is going to be a minor thing. Okay. So now we have 2 options. One, we just minus Thoughtseize them, and that will incentivize them to attack us. Let's say hypothetically we Murktide here and we just make it a small Murktide. Then we can Murktide a second time and make it a big Murktide. And then even if they force the second Murktide, it's too late. We've already got a giant Murktide. I like that. So I'm going to go blue, Murktide. Let me think about this. So in terms of cards, we can exile 1, 2, 3. I basically want to make this first one really small. So I do think it makes sense to go ahead and fetch her. And I'm going to get the island. And the reason I'm going to get the island is I do have fetch lands on my deck that can't get, they can't get island. So I just want to get those out of the way. Okay. So now we're going to Murktide, and we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I guess I'll put the, one of the Fatal Pushes. And basically we're just hoping they don't have Daze. Because if they have Daze, then that's like catastrophic. And they may not force this just because they're like, wait a second. Okay, they forced it. That's great. Now, if they have Daze, we're pretty screwed. Yeah, I want to keep Tamiyo around. So I'm going to go ahead and attempt to do this now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they have Daze, they have Daze, and we probably just lost. I think that's okay. Okay, they didn't have Daze. So now I can plus, and I'm just going to pass. So they can't really attack in. They could do a trick with Tamiyo where they return something from their graveyard and make it equally sized. But that still means that we're going to Tamiyo first. I mean, that basically guarantees that we're going to Tamiyo first. Do they play Brazen Borrower? Cracking a Clue? Just trying to find. I'm not sure what they're trying to find, but they're definitely incentivized to dig. I'm not sure what they would even play in their deck to deal with a Resolve Murktide. Even if they do make it big, we trade. That's not the end of the world. Okay, so it's now big enough to kill Tamiyo. Oh, wait, it isn't big enough because it's going to get the debuff when it attacks. Okay, so they're going to go ahead and do something else here. Desperately digging. cracking their petal, which is card disadvantage, which you love to see. And it's worth noting that our Murktide isn't even going to get debuffed here when we attack. Because they're playing another Tamiyo, which is fine. I think we just hold the fort and hope that they can't interrupt Tamiyo. I think that's safer than attacking and having them crack back and kill Tamiyo. Their Tamiyo can't attack. They can't really attack. Because remember, they need their life total to win through the combo. If we find a Brazen Borrower, which we have in our deck that they may not have in their deck, I'm not sure if the standard Doomsday lists have Brazen Borrower right now, then that means we're likely to be able to triumph. That's the word I'm trying to look for. Okay. That doesn't really help at all. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to consider pitching that to Psychic Frog. Let's go ahead and see whether Psychic Frog resolves first. Actually, I think I'm going to start by cracking this clue. Because if I find Brazen Borrower, it'll be go time. Or any sort of like if I find like Go for the Throat or anything like that. Okay, Daze is not bad at all. That means we can resolve a Psychic Frog no matter what, basically. I'm going to go ahead and play this out, though. I don't really care that much about Frog being big. I have the ability to make Murktide larger. It's going to plus here. And so we could dump these cards and we could fetch, and then we can give Frog flying and buff Murktide. But if we attack, all they're going to do is jump with Tamiyo. I'd rather ultimate. And now it's basically impossible for them to kill our Tamiyo through combat because we have two potential blockers here. So this is like the Tamiyo chess game. This is one of the reasons I love Tamiyo. I love Psychic Frog too. Psychic Frog's going to get banned, but I still think it's a good card. It's just that, the cards around it were too good. Like, I think specifically Entomb is the card. If I could just wave a wand and ban a card, I'd ban Entomb, and I'd keep Psychic Frog legal because it's fun. All right. We persevered. We prevailed. Let's go to round 2. We're on the play in round 2 with another heater hand. Look at this thing. This is perfect. It's got plenty of mana. It's even got kind of perfect mana. And it's got a Nethergoyf that we can open with. I'm loving this hand. So I'm just going to check and see what our opponent's likely on and make sure they're not on oops. And then we're going to probably keep this. Our opponent is likely on Nadu. And I think this is a strong anti-Nadu hand. I'm going to keep this. So we don't need to worry about basics if they're on Nadu. I think we can just go ahead and open with a probably a Nethergoyf. Start applying pressure. We're going to want to daze critical cards like, what's it called? Delighted Halfling. The creature that has half the stats of a human, yet has twice the toughness of a human, apparently. All right, so let's go ahead and do this Nethergoyf. Yeah, the reason I say that is like a 1 is supposed to represent like a human. So a 1/1 like soldier would be like a human soldier. And so everything is scaled from that. So like Emrakul is like 15 humans or 15, human power to the 15th or something like that. I'm not sure how it scales. Okay, so they may have switched. I think I'm going to counter this because I do want to keep pressure on the table. And if they're opening this way, this is not like a super explosive start. They could have switched to like Stoneblade or some sort of deck that plays that. The way that they pause for a second makes me wonder if they have like a Force of Will or something. All right, so I do think that it's reasonable, given what they just showed us, to go fetch an island here and ponder. And then we're going to be hitting them for a whopping 4 on turn 2. Living the dream. Yeah, just in case they do have... I don't want to get like wasted out myself. I don't think we need more land. Now Spellbomb does make our dude bigger. And yeah, I think we can keep this. So what I'll do is I'll just put the Spellbomb in hand. I don't want to expose the Underground Sea, but I wouldn't cry if like Spellbomb were like Thoughtseize for some reason. It's not going to be. But in case they're doing like a white-black deck, can't be too careful. Okay, they're on blue-white. So I do think they're likely Stoneblade, but they could still be Nadu. And if they're on Nadu, we did kind of like leave the gate open, so to speak. I'm going to go ahead and Psychic Frog here. I'm going to do this before combat. If it gets countered for some reason, that will make our Nethergoyf tougher. That is great for us. So they pitch Dress Down. So they are on some sort of control build. A Nadu deck generally wouldn't play Dress Down. So we're going to be able to hit for 4. They're down to 3 cards. They could have a, like a Plow or something. They would have used it probably if they had it in hand, but they could be drawing to it. Okay, there's a Brainstorm. All this work is undone if they just play a Stoneforge and go get a Caldra and have like an invincible wall in front of us. Oh, they conceded. Okay, great. This is how blue-black tempo is supposed to work. You're supposed to get like insane damage early on and just apply pressure. And I mean, tell me a time when you had a Tarmogoyf deal 7 damage by turn 3. I mean, like, or not a Tarmogoyf. First of all, Tarmogoyf would come down turn 2 instead of turn 1. But I meant like a Delver of Secrets, right? Even DRC, you'd be hard pressed to get it doing that much damage. I don't think it's possible to do that much damage. So the fact that this scaled from a 0-1 to a 3-1 or a 3-4 to a 4-5 so quickly and dealt so much damage, I mean, that is just the strength of the deck. So we don't know a lot about what they're on, but we do know that Bowmasters is generally good against blue-white decks. They could very well be playing Tamiyo. I do like the idea of bringing additional threats in against these decks. Daze is going to be very bad on the draw. I'll just cut it completely. They were playing basics. We didn't see red. They could be playing something that does use red. We do have the option of bringing in Force of Negation. I don't think these are going to matter though. These now spell moments. I also don't think our life total is going to matter a whole lot, so I think it's fine to bring this in. So now we still have 2 more slots. I do think it's okay to maybe leave like 1 or 2 dazes in. We didn't see a single creature, so I am thinking they're on a creature light deck and not like a Death and Taxes or an Esper Vial style deck. This could be good. I think this is probably better than Daze, but I'll bring in if they're on like some Esper, let's see. I mean, this is probably, maybe this is bad. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I know this will be okay. So once we learn more about their deck, we'll figure it out. But the general rule when you're going up against control decks, just bring in as much removal, as many threats as you can. And we currently have 20 creatures. So our deck is like 1/3 threats. So my kids are home from school. If you hear some piano in the background, they love to play piano. I don't think this is a good enough hand. This does have the Tamiyo Brainstorm combo. If they have a slow start, I mean, this gives us access to... I think we keep it on the strength of Brainstorm. I don't think they're going to be coming swinging out of the gates. The other option for what they could be is they could be like Cephalid Breakfast, which would make sense with the cards we saw, but Dress Down doesn't really fit into any non-control decks. Oh, they could be on Stifle Knot. They definitely could be on Stifle Knot. So I think what we do here is we try to bait the Stifle. The way I'm going to bait this Stifle is I'm going to attempt to fetch, and if they don't stop me, I'm going to go get an Underground Sea. Okay. And now I'm just going to play out this Goyf. It was scary last time. Hopefully it'll be scary this time. And then next turn, what I can do is I can play out Tamiyo with Brainstorm Protection. And next turn, assuming they're not going to stifle us, we could just go get our Swamp, and then we have access to Island too. In case they're on like Back to Basics, which is not a good card, but it is a card that a lot of people play. Okay, Arid Mesa. I'm definitely getting Jeskai vibes. Jeskai is a very powerful control deck of yore. Still kicking around. I mean, I think it did all right at like some recent tournaments. There might have been some copies at the Japanese Eternal Weekend. The Buffalo Chicken Dip. I think the DMV Invitational. I can't remember if the person who won that was on Jeskai, but I seem to remember like somebody in the finals. And that deck hasn't really changed a lot over the past few years. It has maybe a Teferi or Tamiyo might be the only newer card in the entire deck. All right. So what I think we do is we're going to need both blue. So I'm going to go ahead and play this out first. And then I'm just going to attack in. And if we just do 1 damage, that's not the end of the world. I probably should have played Tamiyo out first, just in case they countered it. I don't think they'll counter it. All right. And so we have on-demand Tamiyo flip with Brainstorm. They could be playing Hull Breacher, which is not common, but it is in my Esper deck, so it's on my radar. It's a good card right now. It's a very strong card right now. The fewer people play red, the better the blue 1-drops, or the blue like expensive spells get. Like Jace might even be playable if there are few enough people playing Pyroblast. Okay. That is fine. I'm not going to attempt to interact with that. I'm glad they went after that instead of my Tamiyo. There's the Ponder. Since we don't have Surveil lands in our deck because I'm a fool, we don't have to worry about the temptation to Surveil and leave Tamiyo naked to potential removal. All right. They are passing, and having an active Tamiyo on the table is a very good thing. There is a possibility they fetch, but if I play a waste, there's like 0 chance that they're going to play that out. They could have Spell Pierce, is one thing I'm going to respect here. So I'm just going to play that out, and now I'm going to attack. And now, if, like, let's say hypothetically they plow in response to this Brainstorm, I can just Brainstorm a second time. And I am going to go ahead and attempt to Brainstorm here. Okay, I'm back. So there's definitely risk here that they have like a prismatic ending, but we are going to get a window to take that away from them. So I'm going to put these 2 lands back. We definitely are cool on lands. She'll flip. Now I'm immediately going to break the Brainstorm. We're going to go get our swamp. I'm going to plus her so I don't forget. Oh, it's really embarrassing when you forget to do that. We're just going to Thoughtseize. Now, assuming this doesn't get countered, we should have a much better idea of what they're playing. And we're looking to take away Prismatic Ending or Snapcaster especially. Snapcaster would be really bad. They're tanking on this Thoughtseize, which tells me they probably do have removal. Okay. They may Brainstorm to hide something. Oh, they're grabbing Pyroblast. Well, we've already gotten value out of her. I'm not going to throw away this Brainstorm when we have a perfectly good fetch on the table. Wrath of the Skies doesn't do a lot here. If they want to Wrath away my clue, that's okay. I'm much more concerned about this. Yeah, and we'll see whether they fetch it on basic. But if they do fetch it on basics, we do have the ability to waste them. If their next land is a basic, I'm almost certainly just going to Brainstorm away the Wastelands. They probably won't do a lot this game. So again, their hand was Volcanic Island and Wrath. Okay, and they do play at the Volk. That's not what we want to see, but it's not the end of the world. They don't have double white. We can waste them, and we can play Frog, and hopefully they won't be able to stop Frog. If they plus here, that's fine too. They could bounce the clue. Not targeting anything. Okay, I don't know why they didn't target the clue. That was a free lunch there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to untap. I'm just going to go ahead and start by wasting them. We definitely want to do that. I do want to go ahead and get this out just because it like forces them to potentially Wrath. Yeah, and they're going to need more mana to Wrath. It's unfortunate that we can't really do anything with the days. Okay, so they don't have Wrath mana now. So we can potentially kill Teferi here. Ghost Vacuum doesn't really matter. I will start exiling stuff if they go after my stuff. I love that kind of like effect that they put on this card, by the way. This is really cool. Kind of like retro horror looking stuff. So I'm just going to exile 3 cards. I'm not going to give them a Tamiyo. Okay. All right. Moment of truth. Did they find some sort of 1 mana removal? I'm going to start by wasting their Volk. I don't want to like... Okay, now they have to have specifically Force. Or, what do I want to do here? I think I'm going to attack and see what they do. I think I'll pitch... I might pitch Force. Hold Days. Because we know they have a Wrath in hand. Yeah, I'm going to do that. All right. Oh, that's so good for us. That really changes the dynamic. Okay. I think we just chill. Yeah, I'm just going to chill because we have this clue that we can crack. If they do get Wrath mana, we want to at least get our clue. Okay, that's a great way to start out the turn. Just them having to look for stuff. If they find like a prismatic ending or something, then we can daze it. That doesn't matter. That's fine with me. I'm not going to exile my graveyard for anything except for creatures. Because I don't want creatures to go into the Ghost Vacuum. The other cards don't really matter. All right, and they're passing, which makes me think that we may be able to attack here. Find a land that we can brainstorm back. Another land that we can brainstorm back. I don't think we need either of these lands. I'm going to go ahead and start by attacking. I'm not going to pitch cards. I'm going to be disciplined. All right. So we're connecting here, and let's see what we draw. Oh, yes. All right. So I do think we're going to go ahead and brainstorm here. I have a lot of chaff that I want to get out of my way. Options. I think we just keep up Bowmasters. I think that's really strong. I don't think we need any more land. I mean, like, we can just slowly deploy our threats. All right, I'm going to pass. Biggest thing that we have to worry about is time, because this matchup can go very long. They don't have a good way to kill you, but they do have lots of ways of staying alive. All right, if they Wrath, I'll be so happy, because that'll get their Ghost Vacuum, but they might be priced into doing it at this point. Yep, that is okay. It's also worth noting they're very far away from being able to return that to the top of their deck with Mystic Sanctuary. I'm going to go ahead and get a Underground Sea, and I'm just going to bring the beats. Yeah. I'm going to get an island, sorry, just in case they back to basics or something. It is worth noting that I could have dazed that. I didn't even really think about that. Sorry. That was probably a misplay, because the frog could have kept up the pressure. There's probably no reason not to go ahead and daze that, actually. So, yeah, now that I think about it, that was pretty dumb. Okay, so another land. I think it's okay to just attack with these two. And then it's certainly possible they could have another one. I kind of want to play a Goyf. The reason I want to play a Goyf is it represents... Now maybe I'm just going to play a frog. Let's see. Wrath. Oh, actually, Wrath doesn't kill Tamiyo, but we don't have a clean way to draw cards. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play out Wrath, play out Tamiyo this turn, Frog this turn, and I'll play out Tamiyo next turn. They're getting pretty close to dead on board with the volume of stuff we have in our hand. I probably could have played out the land just to have Brazen Borrower up. I don't think that'll come up. Again, like, I'm totally happy to pitch this to Frog. Here's another... Ooh, Flage. Okay. So I will absolutely... Let's see. It deals 3 damage to any target. Okay. So they're probably going to do this to our Bowmaster, I would imagine. If they do it to Frog, I will pitch cards. It's also worth noting that because they're on a 3-color mana base, this is not going to be... They're not going to be able to return this. So our Bowmasters was kind of a 1-for-1. Okay, now they can bring Flage back next turn. There's not a lot we can do about it. But we can bounce it to hand. It's going to do damage on the way through. And they're going to gain life. Okay, Murktide is quite good. I think at this point we could double spell. We could Murktide, which would be huge. I think I'm going to go ahead and start by just attacking. I'm not that worried about the life total. I could be applying more pressure, but I like having options. Okay, so Wrath doesn't hit Murktide. I think I'm going to go ahead and go for the big Murktide here. And we'll just exile creature cards in addition to our instants and sorceries. I don't care about the lands, but like they might have like Ghost Vacuum sucking up our creatures or something. This will be a pretty quick clock. So if they go all in on this, they will have 1 blue mana up. They may have additional mana that they drew, but this is not like Uro where you're like ramping through. This is like a really janky version of Uro in my opinion. Like I think this is like half as good as Uro maybe. I'm surprised people are even playing it really. If they bring this out, they gain life, but it doesn't... Okay, they just conceded. All right. Wow, we've got like perfect record so far. Let's keep it up. Round 3, we are 2-0, and we are up against a likely control gamer. This seems pretty decent. They're kind. They're saying good luck, have fun. My style. All right. Yeah, I think we keep this. I'd feel a lot better if one of these represented a surveil trigger. I mean, on the play, we have interaction for their like prismatic ending or their plow. Yeah, I think we keep this. So I'm going to keep, and I'm just going to go for the Underground Sea. Not going to be any mystery as to what we're playing here. It is worth noting that I only have 6 fetchable lands in my entire deck. I've got an extra fetch land, which is why I'm drawing extra fetch lands. Which, by the way, I love fetch lands, and I don't think it's like a huge issue to be like drawing a fetch land instead of a surveil land randomly off the top. But sometimes you do feel it, like in situations like this where it would be really nice to have a surveil. Okay, Delta. They were previously on Bant, but that was, pretty early in the Modern Horizons before the meta had really settled. Okay, Underground Sea Gamer. Let's go. I'm totally fine with you doing that. Please, take some damage and take one of these cards out of my hand. If they actually are on some sort of graveyard strategy, this hand is absolutely nuts. We'll know in a moment. Like, they're probably just going to take the days. I mean, like, thoughts using a daze out of your opponent's hand, it's got to feel bad. All right, let's see what we draw. A Ponder would be insane. Frog is not bad by any means. I don't think it's likely that they could just untap and have it, have both Entomb and Reanimate, but I'm going to respect that, and I'm going to hold the Frog for another turn. I know that probably seems kind of cowardly. Let's go ahead and play this. I'm not going to crack it. I'm just going to get my 2 damage. I think one of the big mistakes people make with Nethergoyf is trying to feed it too aggressively. Like, don't worry, it will get big as the game progresses. They could be on Doomsday. That's another deck that plays Thoughtseize, Underground Sea. If they're on Doomsday, we're kind of in trouble. But Psychic Frog has the benefit of being able to kind of win quickly out of nowhere. All right, I like to see Ponder. Once we Psychic Frog, we'll probably just pitch the Nile Spellbomb. I do want to play the other land out just in case they have Daze in hand. I would hate to get my Psychic Frog dazed. 3 mana is enough to escape Nethergoyf 2 later on if we need to. And then we'll probably just start pitching lands to Frog as long as Frog sticks around. This deck rarely needs to go above 3 mana. But it is nice to have 3 mana in Daze matchups. But often I'll just stop at 2. All right, there's the Wasteland. Please fire it off. Okay, they're dismembering. Deal. All right. So I think they're likely on tempo. I don't think any Reanimator decks play that main deck. I am going to go ahead and just cash this in and hit their yard. I think I do want to get Swamp just in case they have like Runner Wastelands. I'll be a coward. And then we'll potentially get wasted off of the ability to Murktide them, but that's not the end of the world. All right, we drew another Spellbomb. All right, well, I'm glad I cashed that one in then. Holy cow, that's such a good draw. All right, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm still not sure that they're not on Reanimator, but I'm pretty sure they aren't. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go for this. I should have fetched the island first because now I basically have to fetch the Underground Sea to be able to deploy the Nethergoyf, but I think it'd be a mistake to not deploy it. We got to keep the pressure on here. If they have a daze, this is definitely a good daze, but it sets them so far back. If this ends up in the graveyard, I'm just going to use it to escape. Okay, great. And at this point, I'm not even really that worried about like them getting rid of these. Like they probably go after Psychic Frog first, and we're going to be able to bring the other Nethergoyf back, and we're just going to have lots of pressure. Any instant or sorcery we draw just like further strengthens our Nethergoyf army's resolve. Have we been on the play all 3 games? All 3 matches? This is just like the best I've run with Blue Black Tempo in a while. Oh, that's brutal. That's absolutely brutal. I am going to actually let them take it out of my hand because I do want to keep one. I could have like fed it to the frog, but I don't think that's right. I'm trying to think of what they could possibly have that they're trying to clear the way for. Because, I mean, it's not going to get better. They have to go this turn because I'm going to start drawing cards with Psychic Frog. Then I'll have more unknowns in hand. They could just Dark Ritual Doomsday and then we might be, in trouble. But they have such low life that they have to win immediately if they Doomsday. Okay, another Dismember. That's no big deal at all. They're putting themselves dead on board. Yeah, I don't think that play makes any sense unless they also have a way to remove Nethergoyf. And even if they do, I'll just bring Nethergoyf back and then there will be a lethal threat on the table for the next turn. I mean, they must have been desperate to not pay the 2 life because they could have stayed alive for another turn cycle if they just paid 2 mana. Okay, they're reanimating my Nethergoyf? Sure. That, you've got a chump blocker. Unless you have some sort of instant speed thing you're going to do. I mean, they know that I have now Spellbomb, so if they try to do anything tricky, I can just Spellbomb. Okay. And I'm not even going to use my Brainstorm, I'm just going to hold it. So they are playing Reanimate, which maybe they are Blue-Black Reanimator. In which case, they're going to see these 3 now Spellbombs, and they're probably just like, what the hell? How do they have 3? They must have 4 in their deck. I would be terrified if I were like on Reanimator and my opponent just game 1 had 3 Nile Spellbombs in their deck. All right, let's go to sideboard. So I do get the vibe that it's Reanimator. It may not be like an all-in Reanimator. I think we actually don't have any more anti-Reanimator cards that we play. I guess we're just hoping to get it done. Like, and this is my sideboard. Like, this isn't a list that I copied from anywhere, but it's very similar to what I've been kicking around for a while. And it's very similar to what like Joyful Waffle and a lot of other players are playing. I do think they might be bringing in Orcish Bowmasters. I'm not sure about Orcish Bowmasters. I think Long Goodbye might be okay. I'm worried that my own Barragoyf is going to get reanimated and it's going to be the death of me. And we could also argue that we're kind of just pre-boarded for Blue-Black Reanimator. We did see the Wasteland, so we're not taking any lands out. Yeah, I think I cut a Force. I mean, actually on the draw, I think I'm going to cut a Daze. I'll cut a single Daze. I don't want to cut deeper than that. I mean, Barragoyf may be a card that they bring in this matchup, but I'm going to... Long Goodbye seems good. Like, the more removal, the better, probably. Okay, I'll take out a second Daze. And I'm keeping the Forces in just because I'm not sure. They could be on like some hybrid Doomsday Reanimator deck, or if they're just playing like a blue-black tempo deck that's playing Reanimator. I've seen some of those. Joyful Waffle was messing around with that. He said it wasn't very good, but that would also explain why they have it. This seems like a really good hand. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to wait it for a second just so they don't think I'm like snap keeping. They did snap keep though, which tells me they may have a combo. So I'm going to open just Swamp, Spellbomb. Thoughtseize? Oh, Ponder. That's good for us. I do think we run out the Spellbomb because we have to respect the fact that they could, turn to us. Their deck is capable of effectively ending the game on turn 2 by reanimating a monster. Okay, they chose not to shuffle. They snap kept and then they kept their Ponder. So I'm thinking that they have a lot of stuff lined up. If we wasteland them, then they can't turn to us. I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to, there's a small chance that we cheese them. But it is a tempo negative play. And doing that on the draw is not a good feel. But, okay, so they did have a second land. But, it's possible that they stall out and they don't have a third land. We'll see. Okay, Delta is good. I am going to go ahead and lead with the Nile Spellbomb just out of respect for what the deck can do. And I'm also going to lead with a basic. And if they force this or daze this, that also means we're not going to get turn 2'd, but we may not live much longer. Okay, I think they may be brainstorming for a daze, or they may just be dazing. They are not respecting our wastelands, which is a good sign for us, because if we draw some more, that'll be great. Okay, they're brainstorming. We have a really good hand. Like, this is about as good as our hands get. especially in this matchup. And it looks like now Spell Bomb. Is it going to resolve? Oh, there's the days. Yep. You hate to see it. All right. Well, we tried our best. We do have an Now Spell Bomb in the graveyard. They are at least 2 turns away from Entomb reanimating something. And we do have a lot of ways to apply pressure. Oh, and Nethergoyf. Okay. So I don't think they played Nethergoyf last game. So I do think they're on blue-black, and they just happen to also have... I think Fatal Push is good, but what I want to do first is resolve my Goyf and then Fatal Push, because I want to make sure my Goyf resolves. The Fatal Push is not that big a deal. Like, once Fatal Push is in the yard, our Goyfs can touch butts, so to speak, and neither of them will die. They can have, like, if you ever saw One Piece, those giants that fought like thousands of days in a row and nobody ever died. I am going to go ahead and go for this now, though. And it's not like I'm putting all my eggs in one basket. Like, I do have another Fatal Push that I can deploy if this doesn't work. And it's possible that if they like interact with this somehow, because they're afraid of me bullying them last time, okay, that's fine. That is totally okay. I'm happy to get that days out of your hand when I have a frog and like a bunch of other stuff I want to be doing. So I'll just wait. So they have instant, sorcery, land. They do not have artifact or creature. And unless they can't put either of those into the graveyard at instant speed without a frog in play, and they don't have enough mana for a frog. So I think that we're safe for just like chilling. I don't think they're going to be able to get a good attack here. Unless they... Okay, that doesn't matter. That doesn't change the Nethergoyf math. And also that means they're not going to be able to Fatal Push here. It's worth noting that we do not have sorcery, which is the easier of the 5 types than creature or artifact to get. I am kind of thinking of just keeping this Fatal Push here. Now I'm thinking that we don't need to, because Go for the Throat has like kind of the... It does it all. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and resolve this. And if this resolves, I'll probably go ahead and... Okay, it resolved. That's great. So I can attack here, and then I could just pitch the Tamiyo and kill their Nethergoyf. I think that's fine. I don't really need Tamiyo. I'd rather keep my removal and just win through damage. Are they going to block? They shouldn't block. They should just attack back. But they can't really attack back because I've got Psychic Frog. So we definitely have them in a bind, which is crazy considering we're on the draw. But that just goes to show the power of this deck. I'm going to keep my Fatal Push up. I don't want to get Tamiyo dazed. I can definitely play her next turn. I guess the biggest concern is I just don't want to run out of gas. They're playing cards like Dismember, which are pretty dangerous to play against a tempo deck. I wouldn't be surprised if they sided that out. Wasteland's good. But if they're wasting us, that's totally fine when I have a Psychic Frog on the table. They are indeed dismembering here, and I'm not going to save it. I'll just let it make my Nethergoyf even bigger. If they Fatal Push our Nethergoyf, then I'll be sad, but we are kind of like up cards in the sense that like Nethergoyf is a virtual card that we can return at any time. They have hit 4 cantrips already. 4 cantrips in 16 cards, which is quite good. And as I say in every video, the way that you can tell who's winning on a blue mirror is usually who has cast the most cantrips. But in this case, that's not... Oh, they better attack me. If they don't attack, they're total cowards. Okay, yeah. Like I think it's almost always correct to attack here because I can't think of what would swing the scale. Okay. They didn't waste us. Daze is quite good. I'm going to go ahead and attack first. Yeah, nothing I can put in the graveyard that's going to make Nethergoyf any fatter. And I think I just go ahead and deploy her. And then we have the ability to fetch. Well, we're not going to be able to do that this turn. But yeah, we have lots of interaction. If they do anything that I like, if they try to waste me here, I can push and then... if they interact, I can daze. I can even daze my own push to get it back, but I don't really think that's correct. I'm hoping that this daze does slow them down for another vital turn cycle. They drop a Delta. They're wasting here. I think this is a decent window to just push and see what they do. And if they want to interact with this somehow, we can daze the island back into our hand and also chew up some of their mana. Okay, so they let that go. All right, that's fine. Now I hope they play a 2-drop that I can daze. They do not have enough mana to bring stuff. Oh, they're Death Shadow. Holy cow, that makes sense now. Okay, that's a good card. So Death Shadow is going to be quite big here. Yeah, this is a cool little juke. Like I didn't think about Death Shadow because nobody's been playing Death Shadow. I played a deck like they were playing, and I went 0-5. I did not publish that video because it was just incredibly frustrating. So I don't think Death Shadow is good right now, but I compliment them for having the audacity to play it. I do think like it synergizes well with Nethergoyf, and like having lots of black threats is strong because Pyroblast, stuff like that, but it's not that strong in my opinion because Ponder does make our Goyf bigger, but it's not going to help us get past the shadow. Here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just attempt to throat this. Because if I throat this, we're like super duper advantage bar. All right, let's throat. And if they have a daze, they have a daze. They do. Okay, so I'm just going to attack with Tamiyo. And I'm going to let them try to hit me with their Death Shadow is basically on blocking duty because they would have to attack more than once to be able to kill me here. All right, so next turn, daze should be good again. They can shock to make this really big and go for a big crunch, but that's super dangerous. Okay, it looks like they might be doing that. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, they just got it out of their deck. They didn't actually bring it in untapped. So the way Death Shadow works is they intentionally lower their lives. Their life. It's a 7/7. It's got to be tempting. 2-turn clock. Come on. And it also deters me from attacking. But what I can do is I can Nethergoyf and I can just keep Tamiyo back, and then they can't attack in because they're dead on board. Please cast a 2-drop. Where's your frog? If we can just keep, if there is a stalemate and we can keep doing Tamiyo stuff, like, yeah, this is a counter for sure. If they have like their 4th days, that would be bad. Or force. Actually, I'd be fine with force. That'd be a fair trade. Well, they have their 4th days. Outrageous. Okay. Well, we could actually lose this game now. That's crazy. But it's not impossible. It's just improbable. Obviously, the fact that it just happened, it's not impossible. But I don't think it's smart to play around days when your opponent's already cast 3 of them and there are only 20 cards in their deck. So options. I think we just take this and we ponder to try to find removal next turn. I want to keep my Goyf up. The life is not a big deal to me. All right. Also, if I flip Tamiyo, then Borrower's quite good. So we could just borrow Psychic Frog back to the hand and hit them again. And then they can't attack. But they can just redeploy their Psychic Frog. We won't. Yeah, we will be dead on board if we attack in, though. I'm going to see what we find. No. I kind of feel like we could borrow this during the combat. We do know that they don't have any more dazes. That is a powerful thing to know. They attack in. We bounce back to their hand. They have to replay it. They can block again. Yeah, I don't think getting them any lower in life is the path forward. They could definitely pitch 2 cards to block with Psychic Frog. I think it's correct to go ahead and just ponder here. See what we find. If we can find a Fatal Push, we're in biz. Second Nethergoyf's not bad. Tamiyo does get flipped next turn. So I think what I could do, let's think about this. So we just hold back with 2 Goyfs. They have to attack in with, they have to somehow deal damage to themselves to be able to kill both our Goyfs in combat. We have creature. So we're just looking for sorcery to get Nethergoyf to full power. We can always bring a Nethergoyf back. I think the play this turn is the other option is we take the Underground Sea. The next turn we can borrow something back, like borrow a frog that they put some, points onto. I think that's fine. Yeah, I just screwed up the stacking of these cards, but I am going to take the Underground Sea first. Sorry, I'm deliberating so hard. I just don't want to throw this away at this point. Oh, did I already play a land? Oh my goodness, I forgot that they wasted me, so I can't play a land. That was a bad play. But we are 5-6 now. I mean, they're 1 away from death. If we swing in, yeah, then we're definitely dead if they just have a way to remove it. I think we just have to chill. Yeah, I misplayed there. I don't think it's correct to attack in just for the clue when we can't flipper. Let's be patient and flipper in like 2 turns. But yeah, we're going to lose. I think we probably let Tamiyo go here. Because then we can just clear the way for the Nethergoyf attack. Let's see if they do any damage to themselves. If they do any damage to themselves or put themselves dead on board, then I'm definitely going to borrow. But their last card could be a force. Yeah, I think that we screwed that up. I do think that we wanted to deploy the second Goyf there so we could double block. And they're just attacking Death Shadow, which is fine with me. So I think what I'll do here is I'm just going to throw a Goyf in front of it. The next turn I'll be able to do a lot. Maybe I want to throw this in front. It's hard. No, I'm going to throw this in front because then what I can do next turn is trick them into like discarding cards to Psychic Frog to take out my Tamiyo, and then I can bounce the Psychic Frog. And I can also deploy the Goyf. So I can do both. They could have like cards in their deck that make it to where we can't block the Death Shadow. So that's another reason to not drop super low on life. And that does explain why they're playing so many Dismembers though. Now that we have the benefit of hindsight, or the benefit of insight into Death Shadow. Okay, so I think I'm just going to start by attacking here. Okay, no block. Oh, block? Okay, no block. All right, so I'm going to just I'm going to deploy it off of this, just in case. Please force this. Holy cow, that's really aggressive. Okay, so now we basically... We know that their last card can't be Daze, but it could be a blue card and they could draw a Force. It is tempting to do this after combat, but I don't think it really matters. If we do it now, they definitely will attack with Frog and get an extra card. I'm just going to... It's big enough to kill us, though. Yeah, I think we do need to just bounce it back to hand. It's just too risky. They could have that card that counter spells. I can't remember what it's called, but there's like a 1 blue mana counter target spell if you control a creature with power 5 or greater. They are going to get a crack with the Psychic Frog here. Our top card is Brainstorm, which will flip this, which will debuff the... Oh wait, their last card in hand should be a land, right? I'm pretty sure it's a land. They're just holding it to be able to pitch it to Psychic Frog, I guess. Okay, they're only doing 1 damage here, which is fine. Now they'll probably redeploy. They've got 4 cards. So they have a land, they have a... what's it called? One of the problems is Brazen Borrower is quite expensive to cast. So we're not going to get a turn where we can both deploy a Borrower and bring another Goyf back from the dead. So we could just be 2 in the Abyss here to be saved. So I'm going to go ahead and attack. And I'm just going to hope that we can find a removal spell on the top of our deck. 2 removal spells would be just Chef's Kiss, but I'll take a single removal spell. They're out of dazes, so we shouldn't have to worry about them doing anything too preposterous. This game's almost over. If they just have that 1 spell, the counter spell, they're paying mana for something here. That's fine. I'd rather them do that than kill like my last blocker. Okay, so we did find a Fatal Push and another Brainstorm. So I do want the Fatal Push now for the Death Shadow. We don't really have a choice. And then I want to draw the Brainstorm. Alternatively, we could draw the Scalding Tarn. We didn't play a land this turn, right? I keep forgetting that whether I played a land. Okay, so be excellent. Okay. Yeah, I think I played the land last turn. So we could clue and then push. And then Yeah, no, I think it's fine to just stack it like this. No, I do want a clue first. We're going to have to draw through this anyway. Okay, now I'll play this out. Fetch. Just going to do it now before they can draw like a yet another counter spell. We're going to hope that they don't have more of these in hand because they definitely could. All right, they're going to get 2 cards. So it's going to be our Nethergoyf versus their cards. They're to the point where they can jump the frog and just kill us that way. We really needed that land. So we did shuffle away the brainstorm, but I think the land is more important because the land gives us cracks at our clues, which can find fatal pushes and things like that. It would definitely be nice to have a Tamiyo that can distract them, but, you know, we'll live. My biggest nightmare would be that they have some sort of anti-graveyard card because we've got so many Nethergoyfs ready to hop out and do some serious damage. All right, they're going all in on this. What do they discard? Discard a Thoughtseize, discard... Yeah, they discard double Thoughtseize, I think, which makes sense considering their life total. All right, so we're taking 3. We're like super duper dead on board pretty much. I would love for our next draw to be a removal spell. That's not good. Yeah, I think we have to, like, just blocking for a turn is not going to do it. I think we need to be aggressive here. Actually, there's no reason to do that. I'll keep both my colors up. Like, a Murktide would be a very live draw in addition to a remove spell. Psychic Frog of our own. It's not going to keep us alive. But, well, it keeps us alive for 1 turn cycle. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. Yeah, it sucks to just have to throw our frog in front of their frog, but we're at that point of the game. It will stop them from drawing for the turn. And then we'll just have to hope that this clue plus some other card is going to be good enough. I'm not sure if I misplayed this somehow. Yeah, we're dead. Okay, so leave a comment if you think I misplayed that game. Let's go to game 3. Now that we know what they're on, we can wish that we were playing Esper because this would be a total cakewalk with Esper out because you basically have the ability to plow and just nuke their entire board. Barrowgoyf seems solid here in this matchup because it's got Death Touch. I think Bowmasters, they're going to be getting low with their life. Bowmasters could be quite good. Would have been pretty good there. I think we bring the Dazes back in. We totally pull out the graveyard stuff. I don't think it's that important to be able to remove their Nethergoyfs. And I'm pulling all the forces. Force is pretty bad in this matchup. All right, so we get to play on the play. Yeah, we have 1 more card we need to cut. I'm not going to cut any of our removal. Go for Long Goodbye is just insane in this matchup. I think it kills literally everything in their deck. I'll just cut one more of these spell bombs. All right, let's go. Actually, if they let me, I want to take the Thoughtseize out. Is it going to let me? It doesn't look like it's going to let me. It looks like we're going to the round, but these Thoughtseizes are pretty bad against their deck because you don't want to Thoughtseize a Delver type deck because like all the cards are functionally similar. I think this is a keep. I like this because if they are greedy with their non-basics, we can punish them. And we can also bait them into wasting us. So I do think I'm going to open Underground Sea Tamiyo. I'll use the Japanese pronunciation since people are always giving me a hard time about my pronunciation of Fairy Macabre, which is how you pronounce it in French. Macabre, I think. But at the same time, like as a Japanese speaker, I should be actually pronouncing Tamiyo correctly instead of just how I hear everybody else say it. Okay. All right, this could be a fatal push, which would be totally fine. Ooh, they are getting the shock land. They're Thoughtseizing us. So they are going to be able to take our frog, which sucks, but we're going to be able to get a Tamiyo clue unless they have a Snuff Out. I mean, Snuff Out's another card their deck can play, but I generally wouldn't advise it. I think Dismember is so much better than Snuff Out. Like, it's not even a question right now because Snuff Out hits half the format. Ooh, that's so good. Buy land. And now we can play our Goyf, which is already a 2-3. That was a great top deck for sure. Our opponent's already at 15. So this Goyf is going to do some serious damage if they let it resolve. I was just complimenting my opponent. These are precisely the kind of games I like to play that are like fun and interactive and, you know, taking like 10 turns, 20 turns. I think last game was probably like, I don't know, at least, let's see, how many turns was like 11 turns? Yeah. I like that. That knockdown, drag it out type MTG. Okay, so we're going to go across with our Tamiyo, and create a clue. And now, even if they remove Tamiyo, we're up a card. And that's the name of the game in these tempo mirrors. They know we have a second wasteland too, so they have to fetch basic here, or they're crazy. Okay, they do. Yep, and we've already recouped the value. We've already recouped what we put into her. So we'll see what we draw, but we may just be cracking a clue here. Well, I don't really think we crack a clue when we have the ability to stick another Goyf. I'm going to play a land. I guess I'll play this out for flexibility, and we'll just boop. And this is going to get so much bigger with whenever we draw something. But the upside of having this Nethergoyf in play to be able to apply pressure next turn is higher than just some random card off the top of our deck. Oh, my keyboard just disconnected and is acting totally funky, so just give me a moment. Okay, we're back. Our opponent is swamp cycling, so that is a good reason to have reanimate in your deck. If they reanimate here, that'll be pretty devastating. Actually, they can't really safely reanimate because if they attack, like we've got like a legit clock on them. So they are going deeper in life with the water grave, even knowing that we have wasteland. That tells me they probably have Death Shadow. And that does make me wonder whether we should even waste them here, because we might need the mana to do something else. Oh, well, that answers our question. I'm going to go ahead and do this now, before there are any spells on the stack or anything that would give them the ability to do other stuff. Yeah, I'll just attack. I do think I'm going to fetch an Underground Sea and just crack this right now, because I don't want them to untap and be able to Bowmasters, which is a card that could be in their deck, which would be really annoying. Yeah, so we'll just cash this in now. We don't have anything else to do. Okay, Murktide is going to be insane. Murktide is not going to be insane, actually. Murktide's going to be piddly, because we haven't cast a single instant or sorcery. All right, and they're passing without play, which is good. This could mean they have like a Brazen Borrower. It could mean a lot of things. So I'm just going to play the land. I'm going to go in. And if they attempt to Bowmasters, then I'll be ready to Brainstorm. All right, they're not doing anything. So we're just going to chill. We're not going to cast instants just to fill up the graveyard when they could have a Bowmasters. I'm going to play carefully here. If they tap out a Bowmasters mana, I will be tempted to Brainstorm. Okay, there's the Brainstorm. Daze, please. Okay, this is not that bad, actually. I think Murktide is not the greatest right now. Yeah, I think I want to win through Nethergoyfs instead. I feel like Murktide just a little bit. What card would we not want them to Thoughtseize away? I think it's probably the Nethergoyf. If they attempt to Thoughtseize, I'll just Fatal Push the Bowmasters that's on the table. If not, I'll probably wait. I mean, there's not any real pressure to kill it. It's just a chump blocker. We do want this Polluted Delta to shuffle away some stuff. So I think the card I'm going to hide is going to be a Nethergoyf. Yeah, because like just playing that Nethergoyf will be really strong next turn. And then we'll shuffle away the Merc. All right. That worked out exceptionally well for us. Just being patient there. People forget that Bowmasters is in the format. I've been like getting more people with Bowmasters over the past week or so than I've ever gotten them. Back when Bowmasters came out, everybody was too scared. But now people have like kind of like forgotten the boogeyman that Bowmasters is. We've both got 5 minutes, but I think this game will end in time. With it, I don't think it'll go to time. They have a land, which is not what you want to be seeing at this point. I don't think. Unless they have a Barrogoyf, that would be really good. I don't know that they have space for a Barrogoyf, because they're playing like all of our creatures plus That's not a big deal. I mean, the mana efficient thing is just to get rid of this, but how do we lose? We lose because they untap and jam a Death Shadow. So I think we hold the Fatal Push. Just take the damage. We've got both Tamiyo and Nethergoyf hitting the table next turn. And then if they somehow get rid of these, we do have the option of just keeping the Murktide. Murktide will not be super strong. He'll be like a 4/4, but they're at 6. So it'll probably outclass anything they can do, and it's in the sky. So if like they somehow stop my Fatal Push on their Death Shadow, then that's probably what I'll do. I don't think they can safely attack here. Well, you forced my hand, friend. Now if you just play a big guy, then I am definitely going to just slam this. Yeah, if they play a Death Shadow, okay, there we go. There's the Shadow. And now I'm just going to jam. I'm going to use these as chump blockers, and I'm going to survive. And then I'm going to play the Murktide, and they're going to have to answer the Murktide in one turn cycle. Yeah, really glad that I hid the Murktide the way I did. Okay, so let's think about this. They have 0 cards in their hand. There's no reason not to just go ahead and get our basic island here, just to fill up our graveyard, because we do want to have lots of stuff in the graveyard for Nethergoyf. And I'm just going to go all in. And they're going to have to answer this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll exile the Brainstorm, because that's the least important thing that we could bring back. And we're just one. Oh, I didn't need to exile all that stuff. I added extra mana specifically for not needing to exile it. Okay. So if they attack, they're like super duper dead. Because we can attack, we can get a clue, we can do lots of stuff. They have to kill this now. They could answer it with a bigger Murktide of their own. But I think there's not a way they're going to be able to kill both of these. So there's no disincentive for them attacking here. I am going to just let it through. Because if they have some sort of trick, is there some sort of trick that they could have where they throw it or something? I don't know. I think that it would suck to lose that way. I'm just gonna let it through. I think it's safer to let it through than it is to because I can't think of a way that they could deal 6 damage. They don't have a direct damage spell in their deck, I don't believe. That Psychic Frog does make it a little harder for us to win, but it's not the end. Okay, and now we just win. All right, good games. I'll just tell them they were asking. That was a natural rip. I did hide both the Merc and the Goyf. Yeah, so let's go ahead and go to our attack and not screw that up. Yeah, I'll just attack with that just in case there's some unimaginable way that I still need to be able to chump for a turn. Yeah. They said, well done, boss. You can watch the video on my channel. All right, and we are going to be 3-0. We have lost 1 game to this Death Shadow deck, but other than that, we're doing great. So I'll see you in round 4. Round 4, several days later, we're up against an unknown opponent. We've got a lot of interaction in this hand. We have Brainstorm. I mean, this seems like a pretty ideal hand. I'm going to keep it and hope they're not on combo, like turn 0 combo. That's never a good sign. Okay. Well, we do have a swamp, so we can still do stuff even if they Blood Moon, but we're not going to be able to do a lot. Yeah, it looks like this could be Blood Moon. Oh, Fable. Thank goodness. I was freaking out there. All right. So, I think in this situation, I mean, they put Fury under there. They're going to be able to attack and generate mana. I'm pretty sure we're up against Moon Stompy here, but this could... Yeah, I don't think Painter would play that. So I think we're up against Moon Stompy. Murktide is not bad by any means. I hate to say it, but I think that just going Swamp Nethergoyf isn't going to do a whole lot. Because we need to be able to cast some other... We can get the Thoughtseize in the graveyard. We can get the Brainstorm in the graveyard. And then it'll be a 2-3 and it'll be able to block that. That's not super strong. That is going to be multi-turns. I do think it's also possible that they just untap One Ring or something like that. I think we need to go ahead and Thoughtseize just to be careful here and just take. We're gonna take 2 from the Thoughtseize. Oh yeah. All right. I'm very glad I did that. I don't care about this Fury. We'll deal with that later. But like they should have definitely opened Blood Moon in my mind. Like I can't imagine a scenario when it's better to not open Blood Moon. But I guess they didn't have enough land and they wanted to make sure that they had like a way to get mana. So I think they're probably gonna loot away that Fury. I hope they hold it. And if they attempt a Fury, like let's say hypothetically they held Fury, then I have a Psychic Frog and I would pitch my entire hand at Fury. And I would just try to win with Psychic Frog because this is going to be a low resource battle anyway. They do indeed loot Fury away. So they have 2 unknowns at this point. They're coming in for a hug. Let's see if they have some sick follow-up, like an initiative creature would be devastating. Another Fable. This is looking bad. Okay, so now we've got to deal with all these. What I'd like to do is brainstorm into a fetch land. But I'm not going to be able to cast the fetch land this turn anyway. I think it's okay to go ahead and just Frog first. Frog can potentially just discard. What will we discard? Murktide pitches to Force. Because we definitely want to be able to block at least one of these. Also, they're going to be able to create a new one each turn, which is going to be pretty scary. I would probably pitch Go for the Throat because that's like really bad. Like we're so tight on mana. The notion of paying 2 mana to remove like one of these creatures that they're getting off of Fable seems like a pretty bad deal. All right, so they can pitch some cards again. And it's worth noting that Blood Moon is still devastating if they get it. I'll definitely have to force that. So what I'm hoping to do next turn is Brainstorm, Fetch, and Nethergoyf so I can get some more power on the table. They are attacking, and I will discard a card and block here. Is Go for the Throat what we want to discard? Because Go for the Throat can kill this in a pinch. Oh, and then they could cast like... they would have cast Broadside already, but if they cast like a Pyrogoyf, I'm not sure if I can deal with that. I'm going to discard a Murktide because that is a type that I'm not going to have in my graveyard next turn. And then I will just pitch Force if necessary, and that'll also buff the Nethergoyf a little bit. But this does remove one of their creatures, and now we get to see whether they have like a Dead Gone or something as their last card. Or the last... Okay, and this is what I was afraid of. So we're definitely going to have to force this. I don't think there's an option here. All right. So now if we find land... Oh, that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and Brainstorm first. All right, we can take them off mana. We can also get a Spell Bomb into the graveyard pretty easily. My cat's about to step on my keyboard and probably crash my computer. Okay, so I think what we do... Oh, man. I really want to get rid of that reflection of the Mirror Breaker. They're going to have another one. The other option is to just let it go. If we play a Nethergoyf here, we could Wasteland them and then Nethergoyf. And then they're going to use their last mana when they attack him with this. But they could use a mana to copy this and get up that way. 2 reflections lying around is not that dangerous if they don't have very much mana. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put back the Go for the Throat and the Brainstorm. Now I'm going to Wasteland them. I'm going to deploy this Nethergoyf. I'm going to go ahead and just attack. I'm not going to exile anything. I would be happy if they block here. Do I want to discard this? I don't think we do. I think we hold it as a surprise. It's not going to do anything for us. It is a card we can put back with Brainstorm, but yeah, I'm just going to discard it and maximize the amount of damage I'm doing here. I could do that after blocks, but I don't think they're blocking. All right. We've got a plan. This Nethergoyf being 5/6 is pretty good. But Pyrogoyf is like a legit threat if they can find mana. If they want to create mana, they're going to have to kamikaze their goblin. Doesn't look like they are. It looks like we might have them on the defensive here, which is crazy considering that, okay, I think I am going to try to brainstorm. If I could find like a Brazen Borrower and a land, that would be really good. It wouldn't be that great. I don't know what they have in their hand, but I'm going to go ahead and start by brainstorming here. Fatal Push is good for Fable, but we can't turn it on. We can hit the token and that forces them to duplicate it. I think that's probably okay. I will hold Fatal Push in my hand. Okay. So the question is, are we attacking? I think the answer is yes. We're attacking with both, and that will force them to use this. And when they target this, let's see, create token that's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control. So they can create a copy of Reflection, but they won't be able to create. I think if you push in response to them copying, the copy doesn't work. But we have so much life that I think it is correct to go ahead and attack here. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And I do think they're going to do the copy thing, the copy trick. They're not. Interesting. So we get to draw. They're at 6. I'm going to pass. I think in the end step, they're going to try to copy it. And that's when I'm going to push it. And let's see how that works, because I'm actually not sure what how the interaction is. So they can copy their Reflection, but they won't be able to generate mana off that. Okay, wow, it didn't work. No legal targets. It's a copy of another target non-legendary creature you control. I'm not sure how it can't copy this, because this isn't. So if you're watching and you have feedback in the comments, let me know why that didn't work. Because I would figure they'd be able to create another Reflection at least. They have City of Traders. Okay. Broadside. Scary time. This card is just so sick. And they're going to start being able to copy it. But if they attack, they're in trouble. Actually, they're dead either way. Unless they... I'm trying to think of what they can have in their hand, because I can just fly the Goyf over. Or the Frog over. It looks like they are going to attack with Broadside. But I don't know how I die this turn. If they throw anything at Frog, I will pitch my entire hand to defend Frog. I basically have them in the Abyss with the Nethergoyf anyway, because it's so big that they basically have to block it. They could take one hit, but now that Broadside's on the table, I feel like I have to end this game next turn for sure. Okay, and they just concede. It's interesting they're like attacking and then they concede. But yeah, we'll take it. Winning game 1 against Moon Stompy feels great. All right, and here's how I'm choosing to sideboard. I took out my Murktides because if there's a Blood Moon, I won't be able to cast Murktide anyway. And it is kind of slow. I could definitely see an argument for Murktide here, but what I'm more interested in is Nethergoyf getting really big. I brought in Toxic Deluge because it can potentially clean up like their entire board. And even though it costs life, you have to pay life to do that. I mean, just imagine last game, us having Toxic Deluge in our hand. Barrowgoyf seems good. Lifelink seems relevant. And we're going to have a lot of different types in the graveyards because they're running like enchantments and artifacts. Hydroblast seems good. I wasn't sure about Consign. We did see the One Ring, but I feel like bringing in Consign just for that when we've already got Dazes. And I brought in a Force of Negation. So my hope is that we can just go in there and stop them from their initial volley, just like we did last game. We stopped their initial volley, and then we were able to close with Frog. So I'm going to submit, and then we're going to see if we can get either round game 2 or game 3. But this is very touch and go because they're just so explosive. Let's take a look at this hand. This hand feels great. It's got a force. I don't like the non-basics at all, but I'm not going to pitch a hand that has force and Frog in it. They are keeping 7. All right, our opponent was very patient. We have plenty of clock, so I'm not worried about that. Maybe it'll be a problem. Ghost Vacuum's not a big deal. I'm just going to let it resolve. I actually think this is a really bad sideboard card to bring it in against us. It's certainly possible that they could have a ridiculous amount of mana later, but I don't think that that's going to be that relevant in this match. Tamiyo is a great pickup, but I think we just leave with that. I don't have a lot of faith in her sticking around for very long. But if she does, I mean, they have like haste creatures. They've got lots of stuff that can take her down. I probably could have considered boarding her out. The One Ring. So I am going to attempt to daze this, and if that doesn't work, yeah, because I want to hold the force. I could certainly have another Simian Spirit Guide, and they do. Yeah, so we are going to have to pitch our Frog, and I would have probably much rather pitched Tamiyo here. Yeah, but I mean, we took the calculated risk. They had 4 of those in their deck. We knew that there was a chance that they had another one in hand, but I just feel like passing up days on a 4-drop is just, that's unfortunate. I do think we use this opportunity to get our swamp though, because we may not have one later, and we can still win off swamp even if we don't have an island. So our plan is very simple at this point. Start drawing cards off Tamiyo and converting all these duplicate lands into our one-sided Howling Mine, and then trying to pull ahead that way. All right, and they are exiling our cards, which is no big deal. As we established, unless we're putting even Nethergoyf, Psychic Frog might be okay. Yeah, this sucks. Yeah, but I do have the answer. So I'm going to go ahead and do this before anything happens. I'm just going to go get my swamp, and we're going to push Mr. Broadside. Isn't that the Mr. Brightside, the Killers song, Mr. Broadside? Yeah, and basically I'm just hoping that my opponent runs out of gas. I mean, they've had a lot of gas, One Ring into Broadside, and if they have a bunch of Chrome Moxes and stuff like that in their hand, then we'll be in a good place. Also, if we find a Wasteland, I'm 100% firing it off of that Volcanic Fissure, and that should really wreck their mana. That basically will make City Traders a one-shot land. They'll only be able to use it one more time because they'll have to eventually play out more land probably. I don't know. Maybe it's correct to go for City. Oh, wow. It's an unfortunate draw. It does get us our island, though. I'm going to play it out, and we're going to attack. And I'm going to go ahead and fetch the island. I'm aware that I could brainstorm these lands away, but I just don't like the risk of them Blood Mooning us. And once this island is in play, all the Blood Moon effects in their deck are basically not good, if they still have them. I'm not sure if those players board them out. I'm going to keep my mana up. There's no reason, I don't think, to do anything here. I don't think they have anything in their deck that punishes draws. So my hope is that they attempt to remove Tamiyo, which will succeed, but we've already gotten 2 cards out of it, and that's the best they can do. But a Goyf would be huge right now if they have mana plus Goyf, and Goyf is just one of the scariest cards that has been added to this deck, because it stacks. If you play your second Goyf, then both of them hit you for their power, which is often you're suddenly taking 10. This is very scary. Also, if I'm talking super quiet, it's because my kids are still asleep. I wake up super duper early. I woke up at 4 o'clock. Another Broadside. Well, we can't do anything about this one. Let's see if they throw their Ghost Vacuum at Tamiyo, which would be the smart thing. Okay, we'll take it. Okay, they're exiling our Fatal Push. That makes sense. I'm just gonna, maybe I should have gone ahead and cracked the clue there just in case I found days. Yeah, that was loose. That was an unnecessary, I'll feel really sad if days is my top deck here, even though I will have shuffled. It'll just be yeah, that was bad. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can top deck that can save Tamiyo, I don't think. I think my opponent may be multi-queuing because they're pausing at really random periods. The good news is if we draw a second Fatal Push, we will be able to crack a clue to turn on Revolt so we can push. Please don't be at days. I'm such a dum-dum. My goodness. I could have prevented all this and just held my advantage of drawing an extra card every turn, but no. I'm not going to get tilted. I'm going to focus on winning this game. Sometimes I have I get tilted after making a dumb punt, and then it's just like cascading errors from there. And our opponent, because they're playing such an explosive deck, they can afford to multi-queue. That's not something I ever have the luxury of doing as a control player, but this tempo deck is way faster than what I'm used to playing. So yeah, and I asked this because I looked at my opponent's record, and they're playing like lots of different formats: standard, pioneer, modern, vintage. So they play a lot of stuff. So they could very well be playing multiple formats as we speak, which I just don't have. As a 43-year-old man, I don't have the mental stamina to do things like that. I'm going to start with the Ponder. If we can find a Fatal Push, I'm in the market for it. Nethergoyf is going to be big now. How big? Big enough. I think what we need is this Brainstorm. And then we just put back as much as we can, but that does involve us taking another hit. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shuffle away one of these Underground Seas, and I'm going to get an imperfect Brainstorm here. Yeah. It sucks that it's like this, but we'll put back 2 of these, and we'll redraw 1. We did find a Fatal Push, which is great. So next turn, we will Fatal Push, but, this Nethergoyf might be dead by then, depending on what's in their hand. Hopefully I can daze something. But, that's the power of Brainstorm. Even when, I don't have any mana, or I didn't have enough mana to do everything I did, I am still getting, basically an extra card. I'm converting, what is almost certainly not going to be a relevant game piece, that Underground Scene, into, a Fatal Push. That's strong. But at this point, I feel great, assuming they don't have, some insane 3-drop and a Spirit Guide or more mana or something like that. This daze is practically Force of Will in our hands. I'm going to take it, and they're going to take 4, whereas we only took 2 here. I'm going to go ahead and just start by fetching away the bad cards and then cracking this clue so we can learn a little bit. There's a frog. What do I value more? Being able to frog or just getting rid of this? I think the answer is being able to frog. Although I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried that they were going to throw something at the frog next turn. If we just push this, we do have Revolt. We won't have Revolt next turn. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and kill that. Call me a coward. Okay, they conceded. Wow. Okay, we are 4-0. We are doing the trophy game. And if you look, we've only lost 1 game the entire time. So our opponent, I think, probably just conceded because they were multi-queuing. I'm not going to treat that as we just totally dominated Moon Stompy. Because I do think that that's structurally not the greatest matchup. Maybe it's not bad. Painter's the real bad matchup. Moon Stompy might not be as bad. All right, I'll see you in round 5. Wow, this person has a lot of Dimir Tempo wins. This is who we're up against in the final round. It looks like they're playing Bowmasters. They're playing Emperor of Bones. This is from a recent trophy. We're going to throw back. We're on the play, but we are going to have to throw this back, which is unfortunate. I'm going to keep this. I think we bottom force. Assuming they're still on this. That's basically all they've been playing. Since we're on the mulligan, I definitely want to throw back the force. And I'm just going to Ponder Island. They mulliganing as well. Okay. So, obviously, they've been playing this deck a lot more than I have. I've been experimenting with my other decks, namely Espervile. This seems really good. I'm not going to throw this back. I am a little bit worried about getting wasted off of my Underground Sea. Go for the Throat is probably the most aspirational card in here. I'll take this just in case they Thoughtseize, so at least I'll have a Tamiyo, which I can reliably cast next turn. Delver. All right. I am okay with Delver. I think Delver is not optimal, but our opponent has been having luck with their Dimir Delver lists here. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I see some Stifles in their list there. They're also a Stifle Knot enthusiast, but I doubt they're playing Stifle and Delver in the same deck. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and Tamiyo, and then I'm going to fetch and I'm going to Nethergoyf. I'd be more sad if they countered Nethergoyf. So I'm going to get the Nethergoyf first, because I do feel like this is going to be a race and we're on the play here, and this disincentivizes them from countering the Tamiyo because it makes Nethergoyf bigger. I don't actually care about Tamiyo particularly because they can just hold back a flip Delver and then I can't attack in. I am a little worried about Wasteland, Stifle, anything that disrupts my mana basically, but having these on board does make it a little less scary. If they're playing Delver, okay, Fatal Push. So they've got a lot of options here. There's the Wasteland that we were afraid of. They're probably going to push Nethergoyf. Yeah, that makes sense. And then they're going to waste. And then I won't really be able to capitalize on the tokens I'm creating. They're holding back. Interesting. No, wait. No, they're not holding back. They're just... Sorry. Okay, they're not holding back. Why would you hold back when you have a flip Delver and your opponent's on one land and you just wasted them? And they mulliganed. All right, land. Holy cow. That is super lucky. Options. I think we just go ahead and start by attacking. We're definitely going to do that either way. I am thinking about just jamming this frog. The other option, of course, is to just bounce this, but we might need to bounce like a Murktide later, and I'll feel silly if they do have a Murktide. They already used one of their fatal pushes. Do they have a daze here? I'm fine if they daze this because I've got another one. Forced it. That's good value. That's a Hymn to Torok. All right. Yeah, they're hoping that this insect aberration goes coast to coast, I guess. They may have follow-up threats. Yeah, a follow-up Wasteland would be devastating. Okay, great. Surveil Land. Absolutely what we want to see here. Just a moment's reprieve from the onslaught they kept. So that might be removal. Might be a daze. I mean, they don't know that we don't have any lands. We just got lucky and ripped one. They could be thinking, oh, they've got like 3 lands and deprioritizing days at this point. I don't know how an accomplished, experienced Temple player thinks, because I am not one. All right. So we'll take 3 here. Drops to 12. Bowmasters would be scary for sure with our current life total. I think I am going to go ahead and attack. Of course, I almost freaking fired off a brainstorm without attacking with Tamiyo. And a flip Tamiyo should be a pretty good distraction. Hopefully they'll send their Delver at that instead. If their last card is Force, I will be so happy if they force this. If they double daze it, I won't complain. All right, so we don't want these forces. They're bad. Actually, do we want to get rid of the Delver? Because if we hold the forces, we can kind of guarantee that we can get rid of it. We're not doing anything else this turn. Yeah, I'll draw Psychic Frog. All right, this flips. So the great thing about this is if they don't attack in because we successfully pushed, then we can buy back removal next turn, or we can buy back, a Brainstorm or something. They do have days. I'm going to be aggressive. If they have another days, I will be very sad. Okay, it worked. All right, now they have a land and one unknown, and we have Tamiyo taking up, and we've got 2 clues we can cash in, and we've got a frog coming. They cannot afford to sit around and wasteland us here. That's great. They're going to, potentially try to shuffle away excess land. Being on the play was such a huge windfall for us here. Even if they get like a Murktide or something like that, it'll be kind of late in the game. But a Murktide could be really big still. All right. Bowmasters could stop us from ultimating here. I really wish I had a Days in my graveyard or something like that that I could rebuy. I don't want to rebuy. I could rebuy a Ponder. The main thing is I'm scared that they're going to have a Bowmasters, and Bowmasters can take her out. I'm going to go ahead and play this out. This is the highest upside. We'll see if they have another Days, because if they do, they're definitely going to Days this. Holy cow, Force. So good. They pitched Force Negation. They're playing main deck Force Negations. Well, I'm going to go up. And then what I'll do is I will probably go down next turn just to get a fatal push if they present a threat, just to protect Tamiyo. That's fine. That doesn't actually really matter that much. They're just cracking it now before I can even use it. That's fine. So here we're going to draw Brazen Borrower, which is not like a particularly live draw. We'll just go up and then I'll crack a clue. And I'm going to crack the clue end step. Oh, they just conceded. Great. We're up a game in the final round. This could be a trophy. Let's see if Mr. Meat Pie here is a trophy killer. All right, so I'm liking Bowmasters. Let's take a look at their list. They're not playing Tamiyo. I mean, generally you wouldn't play Tamiyo and Delver in the same list because they occupy the same mana slot. That's scary. Psychic Frog, 2 Murktides. I mean, if they're actually playing Stifle, it's terrifying, but because we're going to have to win this one on the draw. What would they likely bring in? It's crazy to me that they're playing main deck Force Negations. Marsh Casualties, creature target player controls get -1/-1. I don't think they're bringing that in, but they might bring it in game 3. If they're actually playing Days, then Goyf is going to be very, or if they're actually playing Stifle, Goyf will be very hard to cast. Okay, let's talk about what we can take out. I think we're definitely taking out Nile Spell Bombs. I want to take out Force. I definitely want to take out Thoughtseize. So if we do all that, then we definitely want to bring in Long Goodbye. We bring in our Goyfs, and we can leave in a few Forces. I don't hate keeping Force in on true Delver because they are pretty aggressive. Go for the Throat seems good. Yeah, but generally taking out Thoughtseize. Yeah, I think this is pretty optimal. So we're going to want to try to play on basics if we can. Those Stifles are terrifying, seeing those in that list. I think this is good. If they just leave like a land up, I'm not going to be able to safely crack. Okay, they're doing something here. Thoughtseize would be totally fine. My hand is like super redundant. And I do think that this has to get the swamp so we can start pumping out Nethergoyfs. Nethergoyf will be big enough that it doesn't just die to a Bowmasters here. All right. I'm always happy when my opponent, my Delver opponent, just opens with a Ponder. They're fetching. They've got their basics. This could be a Fatal Push, which would be welcome. It is. So now Nethergoyf number 2 is going to be bigger. I'd love to just float out a fetch land if I find one. And kind of like do Daze footsies with them. Or I'm sorry, Stifle footsies. Okay. Another Fatal Push, not the worst. This allows me to Nethergoyf around Daze. And I'll just pass. I love having double Fatal Push up against their deck, for sure. And if we can get a little bit more mana, we will be in Goyf country. No country for eyeballs. Thoughtseize is welcome. Any card they take is going to grow Nethergoyf. I imagine they take Frog here, just because it's objectively the most powerful card in our hand. They took Tamiyo. Interesting. Probably because like that's what soloed them last game. She didn't solo them, but she would have drawn a lot of cards. What really helped was just the random utility spells we drew, like Fatal Pushes and stuff. Oh, I guess Tamiyo doesn't grow the Goyf, so the Goyf is still the same size. So Wasteland can target itself if we absolutely need to turn on a Fatal Push, but I'm hoping they give me some sort of Wasteland target eventually. But I'm totally fine just keeping this out here for the purposes of paying for Goyf. I think Goyf will be really good, assuming it resolves, which is a big assumption in their Stifle Days Wasteland deck. I wouldn't be surprised if they waste my waste here. That's fine. And they are indeed wasting my... Check this out. Waste my own waste. I'll show you who's boss. You can't fire me. I quit. All right, let's see if we can draw a card here. Please give me a land. Oh. Well, it's not the worst. We have a force we can pitch. We have Daze Protection on that land. But we are kind of a sitting duck here. We do have a lot more cards in hand than them, but that can change very quickly if we have to force something. Another Wasteland. Okay, and they're basically at the point where they can, they're practically to escape country. I keep saying country for some reason. I am going to go ahead and just use my mana efficiently and push this, because I definitely can't take very many whacks of that from that. And if they just hardcast a Daze, that is totally fine. I'm fine with that trade. And I'll probably just burn my next Fatal Push on this too, because we don't have anything else going on. It makes sense to go ahead and do it now before they draw another potential Daze. Okay, yeah, so we're just chilling. This would be a bad turn for me to have to force something, but I think if they had another Daze, they probably would have just Dazed it again. They do have 4 card types, so they can't escape Nethergoyf. It'll be small. I do not have my anti-graveyard stuff in right now. They're choosing... yeah, I guess if they escape Nethergoyf, they would be escaping... They can't escape Nethergoyf is what I'm trying to say. Yep, and we'll continue to draw dead. But I'd rather pitch a Daze to force than pitch a Ponder. Especially at this point in the game. So they're able to move some cards around here. Yeah, we just got unlucky with variants. Our deck is actually really well situated to be able to address them, in the sense that we have like an additional fetch land to go get a basic. But that's also kind of a problem because they have Stifle. And I think the most likely destiny for this Force of Will and the Daze that's stapled to it is to counter a Stifle on my attempt to go get an island. Their Goyf, which unfortunately we do not have a choice. That thing is going to be super duper bad news if it resolves. They're down to 1 card. Definitely Nethergoyf's going to come out next turn, but it won't be super duper big. Now's a turn for a fetch. Nope. No fetches for you. All right. Well, that was the turn where they were tapped out of blue, where we wouldn't have to worry about Stifle, which, we haven't seen a Stifle yet, but it's in a lot of their previous lists. And it was a 4 of in their previous list. Okay, here's Murktide. Not Murktide? Okay, Psychic Frog. Yeah, pretty much any threat they have at this point is going to be really good against us. We would be dead to the Nethergoyf by now if I hadn't pushed it, so it's not like I'm regretting it. And they have a second threat too. Do they have a Goyf as well? Oh, they're just going to Nethergoyf. All right, and Nethergoyf is still a 3/4. This card is good. I don't know how people are cutting it. I have basically no hope for this game. I'm just going to see a little bit more of their deck, however much they're willing to show me. But our mana base did not want us to win here. Yeah. Wow. Just total drought. We've seen, I guess, 2 lands effectively. Technically we saw the 3rd land, but that was the fetched land in 16 cards. So this is just the bad side of variance. And they should be able to pretty quickly close out this game. Delver on top of it. 2 cards left in hand. All the mana in the world. Okay, so if this works, I'm going to attempt to kill the frog. But I think there's a high likelihood that they Stifle here. Okay, it worked. So options. 1, we could just kill their frog and take a bajillion. Probably 6. They don't currently have a creature in their graveyard, so we'll take more, unfortunately. I think we have to do that though. We have to get it off the table, and then we have to draw into another land. The other option, of course, is we ponder and try to find removal that way. It's not guaranteed. We can't make another land drop this turn anyway. I think what we do is we just wait and we long goodbye the frog. But again, it is going to make the Nethergoyf. So we're taking at least 5 this turn, potentially 7. Okay, we're taking 7. I'm just going to get to like damage step basically. All right, I'm going to assume that they weren't going to do damage there, and we'll just kill this. But I mean, like, who knows what kind of stuff is going to come after this. We're at 6. Barrowgoyf actually would be pretty strong here if we could get it, but like I have no hope. Like they have hardcast, force up, and everything. All right, so the best thing, I do think brainstorm instead of ponder here, just because we can potentially move some stuff around. If they have bowmasters, then they had bowmasters. Oh wow, okay. So we have fatal push for this, and then we survive for a turn. And I think that's the play. We'll go to 2. Then we resolve Barrowgoyf, but it's pretty late in the game for Barrowgoyf to be coming out. If we push the Nethergoyf, it just comes back. So we don't really have life for force, nor do we have the luxury of messing around with force right now. Daze is super duper dead. So I'll put those back. I'm going to go get... I'm trying to think... The other option is we play out the Psychic Frog and we jump it and block the Delver. We take 4. We take 1 from this. We're like a Bowmaster Ping from death. I don't like that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and Fatal Push first. Because if we don't do that, we're super dead. Let's see. If we push this. Yeah, I'm going to push this. And then I'm going to attempt to fetch. And then I'm going to just ponder. Do I want to ponder? Because it's like I only get 1 shot of using my mana here. Because they have the Wasteland. And I do want to resolve a Barrowgoyf. Resolving a Barrowgoyf doesn't save us, though, next turn. I think I do need to find removal. We'll see whether they allow this. They allowed the last one, so I assume they're going to. And we'll see whether this ponder resolves. So what we're looking for is a 1-mana removal spell. As much as I would like to have land, we will not survive if we do that. Actually, so let's say hypothetically we frog next turn. We have 3 cards to pitch. We could stop the Delver. Oh, I feel like it's so much cleaner and easier to just try to find removal over the next 2 draws. Wasteland. It actually does help us cast Barrowgoyf, but again, that's beside the point because we're going to be dead to Delver. And they have like so many cards in their deck that just outright kill us. Also, they can bring back a Nethergoyf again. It'll be a small Nethergoyf, but they may be able to kill us with that even if we do have a Psychic Frog out. I mean, I'm amazed we're even still playing this game. But I am glad I didn't concede because like I think we have like maybe like a 1% chance. Maybe like a 0.5% chance of somehow threading this needle. Nethergoyf coming back. If Nethergoyf is even like a 2-3, we're dead to it. Yeah, and it is. So what could we draw here? I don't think there's a sequence of draws. Ponder can only get us 1 card. I'm going to ponder anyway. Yeah, we fought. I mean, we could just any order shuffle. None of those cards save us. That doesn't save us. Yeah. Okay, well, we tried. See, this is the final game of the league. Let's see whether we can clinch the trophy or whether our deck is going to do what it did that game and give us like 8 turns, 6 or 7 turns. How many draws did we get without land? That was turn 11. So I think we got land like starting turn 7 or something like that. So now Spellbomb, we saw Barrowgoyf. Now Spellbomb could be reasonable. I just don't like force at all. I don't want force in my deck. Thoughtseize, similarly, just like I don't want to pay life when they're coming at me with Delvers. I think that we'll put the Spellbombs back in, At the very worst, they grow the Goyf. I don't like Toxic Deluge against extremely aggro decks like this, and they usually win with just like 1 or 2 threats. They didn't ever have more than 2 threats on the table. All right. This is solid as it gets. I think I open Goyf, and then next turn I can ponder. Yeah, this is super solid. And I can play on basics. Oh, yeah. I'm liking where this is going. And I can dodge Stifle. If they're playing Stifle in their deck, those are like practically blank cardboard right now with the opening that we've been given. Thank you, deck. Thank you. You're redeeming yourself. Okay. So let's go here. Opponent opens Delta. Fatal Push. Totally okay. No problem at all. Goyf will be back. He's like Arnold in Terminator 1 and Terminator 2. I think we push the frog here. They don't have days. Now they need a second removal spell, which we know they play at least one non-fatal push because we saw Shoot the Sheriff last game. They frog themselves. Okay, they did have the second fatal push. That's okay. Again, it grows the Goyf. We were going to have to play through it anyway. All right. We can wait and see what they draw before we fatal push them. Now Spell Bomb. We could just let them have a turn to attack, and we could. I don't think Now Spell Bomb's like particularly strong right now. I wouldn't mind finding another land. I'm gonna ponder. Okay, we did find another land, and we found a Brainstorm and a Borrower. These are all great cards. Borrower is particularly relevant against Flip Delver. So we could hold the Fatal Push, and we can just see whether Delver flips. Let's think about this. So we have plenty of time. Let's just calm down and think. Okay, so we know we can get rid of Delver with Long Goodbye deterministically. However, borrowing it back to hand might be a good play because we have now Spellbomb, so we're not likely going to need to use. We're not likely going to need to use Brazen Borrower on a Murktide. And then we get our own Brazen Borrower out. We haven't seen Bowmasters at all, so it may not be in their deck. So I think I am going to just opt to take a Delver hit here, just for momentum's sake. And this will give us the card type we need in our graveyard. I'm going to wait a little bit longer. If they have a Bowmaster and they Bowmaster our Spellbomb, that's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. I do want to get a little bit more information just in case I do need to do something dramatic this turn. Do we want to push this now? I think we just take the hit. This is not like Blue-Red Delver where they can suddenly bolt you and kill you. Like if we have even 1 life, we can just kind of chill. Probably like 2 or 3 life just because of Bowmasters. But we can go a little bit lower if we need to and use our life total as a resource. And we're getting an extra card when we wipe their graveyard. I just want to maximize the number of cards we can get when we wipe. If they fetch here, that's another card. So this does give them the ability to... No, they wouldn't have Murktide mana. I think we let this happen. Another Delver. That's fine. All right, I'm just going to hit their graveyard now. So we draw the Borrower. Now I am kind of thinking that we go on cleanup duty here. I want to hold the Brainstorm. I think I'm just going to ponder here first. Go for the Throat and Psychic Frog. Psychic Frog's great. Go for the Throat is yet another piece of removal. Do we want to just... I think we just Fatal Push one of the Delvers around Daze next turn. And then we can Frog. So what I'll do is I'll just wait and see whether it flips. And if it flips, I could Borrower and push. Let's see what they flip. Daze. Okay. That's unfortunate. Like I should have, because they reveal it. They don't draw it. But now they have it. They could have Double Daze in hand now. So now it's a little riskier for me to borrow. Also, I have a Frog on top. I definitely don't want to fetch. I think I'm just going to play it safe here and just hit 1. And we'll take 3. Yeah, I'm going to take the 3. I want to draw that Frog. I also want to draw the card underneath the Frog. It's good to know about Daze. Barragoyf. That's fine. I mean, it's tempting to be, mana efficient and use long goodbye there, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to start by just bouncing this back to hand. And then I can long goodbye this. Yeah. I mean, I do want to get my Psychic Frog out. I'm going to play patiently here. So Psychic Frog. Yeah, I think we can go ahead and play out a Psychic Frog here. Oh, they could have Stifle. Yeah, I'm just going to do this main phase. I can pass to combat and see whether maybe they don't attack with the Insectile Aberration. I'm almost certain they will. Yep, that happens. All right, so we have no choice. We'll lose if this connects. So we're just going to goodbye it. We'll take 3. We are dropping kind of low in life. I would love feedback in the comments whether I should just be more aggressive about removing these Delvers, or whether I've just been playing too loose. Because I didn't have to play the frog there. I could have potentially brainstormed and gotten a Fatal Push. Or actually, no, because I shuffled away the Shoot the Sheriff. But I could have borrowed into... Gosh, I'll be absolutely devastated if they have a Psychic Frog here. Okay, good. We have 5 card types. We can both borrow. I think I'm just gonna in upkeep I will borrow. Yeah, and that's all we're gonna do this turn. I'm not gonna bring back. I can't both bring back borrower and or bring back Nethergoyf and borrow, and I need to borrow. And I'm gonna do this now before they have Hardcast Force up. So this will be able to trade with it, assuming they don't have a Bowmasters or something. Please don't be another Barragoyf. Murktide. Yeah, I talked about Murktide earlier. I didn't think about the fact that even with a thin graveyard they could resolve it. But this could easily be the death of us here. I'm not going to be able to draw into a force. I have just a few cards in my deck that can deal with this. The mana efficient thing, knowing that they have days, I'm going to be disciplined and untap, but I'm basically dead on board after this fetch. Okay, Psychic Frog's good. But we do need an answer to Murktide. I'm going to go ahead and brainstorm. None of these answer it. So we don't need this land for sure. Days is terrible here. We actually need to put this out there to chump. So what it'll probably do is trade with Delver. Yeah, and then next turn we can play out the Psychic Frog. I can't play out Tamiyo either because they have days. I do want to go ahead and fetch now because they could have Stifle. But if they're able to somehow stop my Brazen Borrower, then we don't even get another turn. So yeah, Murktide was absolutely devastating draw there. It may make sense to go ahead and play this out now. Yeah, I'll just play it out now. Unfortunately, bringing back Nethergoyf, another thing we don't really have the liberty of doing here. Okay. And if they can just bounce this out of play and flip their Delver, we're dead. Never doesn't flip. They have 2 Dazes in hand now. So I am going to block the Insectile Aberration if they crash in with that. And then Psychic Frog's going to be on chump duty. Tamiyo might be on chump duty. I might deploy them both just to ensure that we get another turn. Oh, yeah, I'm just going to take it. It's not a good feel. Brazen Borrower number 2 would be insane, but them having double days means it has to be a really good card. So options. I think the Psychic Frog necessarily has to come out. I think I'm just going to play Psychic Frog and Tamiyo. So Nethergoyf would exile. Nethergoyf would be pretty small, and it doesn't even matter at this point. It's not going to block anything. It could block future Nethergoyfs from their side. I don't know if we've seen any of those. Yeah, I'm going to put all my cards on the table. Let's see. Actually, if I don't put the Tamiyo out, Psychic Frog can potentially block Insectile Aberration if they attack with it and still survive. Yeah, I think actually I am gonna. Well, if I did that, then they would definitely just daze it, and it'd just be 1 daze, and I'd trade like half my. Yeah, I think I'll just keep mana up and just not use mana this turn, which sucks. But and with that, we are dead, folks. Sorry. I fought pretty hard there. I'm not sure at what point I was on my back foot, but they seemed to draw like threat after threat after threat. And let's see, I drew Nethergoyf, Psychic Frog. Yeah. I think I'm going to run this list back though. It felt great. Other than there's a very necessary change that I need to make, which is to add the, okay, where is it? Blue black tempo. I'm going to go ahead and add that land before I forget. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We had an extra fetch in, and I think this should instead be under city sewers. And I think Nethergoyf showed up in like pretty much every match, was really strong. So I see people cutting Nethergoyf. I can see how that would be good, but it just doesn't feel right. Also, like I see a lot of people just basically playing like 3 or 4, even 4 Bowmasters right now. I think that's fine. And all that's really good against Frog, but it's really bad against pretty much every other top deck. And there's not like a lot of control. Like Beanstalk's basically dead. Like Jeskai is rare, and it's kind of beatable in my opinion, even though they're like a deck that by definition is supposed to be able to beat Blue Black Tempo. Blue Black Tempo can potentially get some wins. I don't think we need to go up on Orcish Bowmasters. Would it be nice to have another way to kill Murktide? I think so. I think it would be very nice. And I am kind of thinking about like, do we really want this long goodbye in here? It did get cast. Toxic Deluge never came in any of the matchups. I understand that it's good against go wide strategies, but how many go wide strategies are there in Legacy that are not just killing you by going wide? Like this would feel pretty bad casting this against Painter or any deck that's like applying reasonable amounts of pressure. Painter doesn't apply a lot of pressure, but certainly Moon Stompy. I mean, my thinking is this could definitely be like a Shoot the Sheriff. And one reason to play both Shoot the Sheriff and Go for the Throat instead of just playing 2 Go for the Throat, or is occasionally against Painter you would rather have Shoot the Sheriff. However the heck Sheriff is spelled. I thought it was spelled with 2 R's. But the analysis of the deck, you've seen this deck a million times before. It's a very solid deck. Obviously, like we very closely or nearly trophied there, and I'm not even that good with this deck. Like I am definitely considering playing it for Eternal Weekend just because the games go a lot faster and because it is really good against combo, and who knows how many, combo players will be at Eternal Weekend. Usually it's a smaller amount, but like this is way better against like Breakfast and decks like that. I think it's way better against Nadu than playing my Esper deck, which I'll show you real quick because you asked. Sure, I'll be happy to show you. Is basically this deck, but it's playing Plow, and it's playing Felia, Overlord, and some Silver Bullets like Hull Breacher, which is really, really strong, and main deck Harbinger with like 4 different ways to find it. So it's really good against Eldrazi and stuff like that. I'm not sure that this Meddling Mage belongs. I'll tweak this later after the video. I'll close out this video, but I will say that like a lot of people have been saying, oh, play more Blue Black Tempo because that's what you're actually going to play at Eternal Weekend, right? Like, why wouldn't you play that? But I'm actually thinking about playing this deck just because it's really, really good against Reanimator. And it is really good at just dealing with like the random, like going up against lands, going up like so many decks that like Blue Black Tempo would struggle with. This just cuts through basically everything that's not like a tier deck. And it's also pretty favored against the top tier deck. Like with 8 removals, but like I consider this to be a serious deck. Nobody else is playing this deck. I understand that there are only a few people that are playing Espervile. I would be surprised if there are like 1,000 people at Eternal Weekend and even 5 people are on Espervile. There will be some people on it, but yeah, I think it's good. So, but I am going to record some more leagues with Blue Black Tempo because it's fun and I learn a lot more, frankly, playing this deck where every game is tight and every little decision matters than I learned from playing like a big, like how much you really learn from playing like Nadu where like, oh, okay, I resolved Nadu and I won, it's like you get so much value and it gives you so much, it just kind of offsets all of all the like little decisions that you make. Like this deck doesn't have some like I win button. It doesn't have some insane value generating engine. It doesn't even have like a modest value generating engine like in this Esper Tamiyo deck. I call it Esper Tamiyo instead of Esper Vial because it really is like a Tamiyo deck that just happens to also be playing Vial to uncounterably get your bullets into play and stuff like that. But I mean, like this does have value. Like Felia Flickering Overlord is basically game winning if you can do it. Felia Flickering Recruiter or even like a Baleful Strikes and stuff like that, incidental goodness. That kind of value, like a little bit of value offsets a lot of skill. So you could say that this is like the equivalent of playing Dark Souls and going and like farming early enemies and getting really powerful before you go fight the bosses. It's kind of like a building your own easy mode. But there's no easy mode. You have to, every single win, you're fighting for it. So with that, this is the list I'll run back in the next video. Until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.